Well, would you look at that? Did you see that? You might have seen it. You might have missed it. It'll be in the replay. Job. Somebody gets it. Somebody gets it. What are we gonna speculate on tonight, eh? What are we going to speculate on? Well, there's always Discord. Let's see. There's a lot of going on Discord. Let's see here. Yep. Well, I had a couple of things on my mind. Every day is different. Lots of things happen every day. But I've got one to start things off. Very fascinating. You tell me. Tell me what you think. But I was thinking about this today, and I can't help but find this fascinating. So let's pull up the best program around, Paint. I'm sure I can find it. Paint. I'm not even going to go 3D. We'll just go old school Paint. Why is it doing that? Okay. Oh, Homestead Bound Bear. You gave away so many subscriptions. Yours already ran out. What do you know? All right. Check this out, guys. Check this out. Pay attention. We have shapes. Good, we have shapes. This will be great. All right. This, let me do an oblate. Slightly oblate. So we're going to go like, no, it's oblate like this. There we go. Not that much. Just about like that. There we go. There's the earth. Let's color it blue. The blue marble. Marvel at my amazing artwork. There's the earth. Okay? This is not to scale. This is not, I repeat, this is not to scale. Okay? You guys all know that if I were to try to make it to scale, you wouldn't see the two objects. That just don't worry about it. It's okay. This, let me do it over here. We'll make it about as big as we can go. Yeah, it's pretty good. Can I move it? Yes. Yes. Oh, it's off screen. Let me put it right there. And then there we go. And we want to do this right here. Boom! Look at that. Okay. That is, you guessed it, the sun. Allegedly. Good evening. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody.
Yeet.
Thank you for the lemons. I was wondering if I could hear anything, but yes, I can. I heard the ya yeet. Yeah, yeet, yeet. Sorry for the ear. Hopefully you don't have. Hopefully I didn't hurt your ears. But let's continue. Blessings from heaven in that little sip. I'll tell you what. Okay, so let me show you something. They say, let's see if I can get text. Yes, they do. Or yes, I can get text. They say this. Oh no. Oh no. Let's go with black because everybody loves that color. Can we go with black? Black. Um, black. Okay. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Start over. All right, we're going to go here. All right, we're going to go here. All right, and then we're going to get bigger, big and black. Hello, this is paint. Oh my gosh, paint is not responding. This is the most ridiculous thing. This is so serious, so seriously hilarious. I mean, here I'll shut Discord down. I mean, I thought I had 32 gigs. I actually only have 16 gigs, but still 16, guys. Really and truly, my computer should be doing this kind of stuff with its eyes closed. It really should. But for the, just, all right. I don't know, guys. I'm just going to close all that. I'll open up again. I just don't understand why Paint would have had any difficulty whatsoever. It's because I don't think that they've updated the app. It's probably some kind of like,
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I don't drink some gravy soon, I'm probably not gonna make it.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I don't drink some gravy soon, I'm probably not going to make it. Speaking of, I drink gravy tonight. Chocolate gravy. I made a hot chocolate tonight for my wife and myself. What did I use? Butter. Yes, I did. Baker's chocolate, 100% Baker's chocolate, unsweetened. Cocoa, also unsweetened. Full fat cocoa, actual chocolate powder, unsweetened. Water, sugar, evaporated cane juice, aka, and butter. Yes, yes, I did that. And it was a delicacy. Yes, it was. Thank you, anti sodomy bear. I am a brother in arm with you because I am um, definitely against sodomy. Amen. Yeah, it was pretty much chocolate gravy. It's good stuff. All right, so here's what they say. They say, yeah, you can read that. That's great. That the sun is 109 times larger than the Earth. Okay, let that sink in. Let that sink in. this right here. They say the sun is 93 million miles. Do I need to write the word away? Sure, we'll write the word away. Check this out. Check it out, I say. Okay, they say the sun is 93 million miles away. Do we still have this up? Yes, we do. I don't even have to go look it up again. That's beautiful. Okay, so I'll leave that right there. Check this out. This is fascinating. Very fascinating. Why are lies fascinating? Because they are. They're just sometimes they're fascinating. They say the diameter of the sun is 864,000 miles wide. Okay? Pay attention. Pay attention. Let's put that right about right there. Okay? And then let's see what else we got here. I'll just put it up here. Where am I? Right here? Yep, we'll do it right there. We'll do it right there. 93 million
Yeah, yeet.
Okay. These, I'll write this somewhere else. We'll write this. Thank you. Thank you for the lemons. Thank you for the ice cream. It's great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. These, I didn't mean to, here, we'll do that right there, are all based on averages and are approximations. However, there isn't. Whoa, what in the world just happened there? Goodness gracious, paint is just a terrible tool. I can't believe it breaks like that. I bet it's a conspiracy from Adobe. How dare you? So, let me hear your best speculation on this right here. Let me hear your best speculation. Divided by 2, 109.008327024. It just keeps on going. These are averages, these are rounded numbers. 93 million isn't the exact number. So, my point is, for all intents and purposes, it's the same number. 108 versus 109 is just absurdly similar. When you're talking about the scope, there is something outrageously. I have someone. I have someone on the inside. They say it's not Adobe, it's Corel. Okay. You think they snuck alcohol into the moon stage? I'm just curious. Just curious. All right. So have at it, guys. What is your speculation? Why? Here, I'll just draw. Let me see if I can get in here with a green. Oh my. What in the name? Oh my gosh. Paint be acting a fool. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Now paint is completely jacked. Oh my gosh. Paint is acting a fool, guys. Amazing. It's basically it's basically crashed. There's an invisible window I can't see. What in the world? Oh, that was from our little yeah, we don't need to save that. Paint. Oh my gosh, guys. Here, we'll do this just to do this. More than one way to be anti to get ungrabbled. And close that. Good grief, paint. What just happened? Is everybody still with me? Did I mess everything up? Come on, paint. I'm about to kill you. Where are you? Why can't I find you, paint? I'm gonna kill you. He said he's gonna kill somebody. I told you I'm gonna kill you. There you go. Dead. Dead. How dare you? How dare you? What is taking up all the memory though? 1.4 gigabytes to what are all these browsers? I thought I killed my browsers. Okay, here, I'll kill my browsers in that task. There. I need my memory back. So 1.5 gigs to Streamlabs, Cisco AMP for endpoints. I don't know what that is. Oh, Immunet. Okay. So one of my antivirus things takes up half a gig. It's interesting. Discord takes up 200 megs. Nothing. Restream chat 113 megs. It's just a ton of services taking up a total of 8 gigs of memory. I mean, it's just fascinating. It really is. All right, so you thought I lost it? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Thanks to Snip and Sketch. Snip and Sketch. That's right. I got skills. Snip and Sketch. Um, But yeah. I'd like to hear y'all's best theories as to why. There we go. That's what I wanted. Why you think this is the case, friends? Reopen closed window. Whoops. Oh man, all my tabs I had neatly organized. All these tabs I had open. Oh, gone. Okay, it's all good. We will survive. Okay, what are you saying? It's a big fat lie. Same situation with Earth and Moon. Okay, yeah, let's look at that one. Let's look at these numbers. That's it's a great direction. Recently closed. Yes, that's what I want to do. I would love to do. Yeah, let's do that one. Recently closed. No, open here. Okay. It's fine. Everything is fine. All right, we'll just go with this. It's fine. All right. Moon diameter. Because this would be interesting. Be very interesting. I haven't really looked into the diameter of the moon. 2159. Okay. All right. 2159. Fascinating. Fascinating. So let's save that number somewhere. We'll just do this. 2159. It's in miles. I'm just saving it there. All right. Distance of moon to Earth. I know that these are averages, approximations. I get it. I get it. It's based on what they say. I just want to see what they say. 252,088. 252,088. Okay. Boom. So what we're going to do here is take our handy dandy calculator and we are going to go clear. Okay. 252,088. We're going to divide 2159. Oh, it's not 3. You can see the answer here. Okay, so 116. Interesting. That's really close. The reason you see this is because I used the radius and not the diameter earlier. 218 is based on the diameter, not the radius. So this is diameter, this is radius. For anybody that's trying to follow along with these numbers here. Okay, so what we have is 107, 109, and 116. When you're talking about the scope, hundreds of thousands of miles and 2,000 miles this and 864,000 miles that, I mean, it's pretty fascinating. It really is. So I did the same thing. I took the distance from the moon to the earth, divided it by the diameter of the moon, and there it is. It's 116. 116. They're too lazy to clear the calculator. It's a fascinating theory. Not going to put that beyond them. Not going to put that beyond them. What is, I took statistics. I failed. Let me tell you something. I took statistics in grad school. I failed statistics in grad school. I took it again. I had to pay for the course twice. That hurt. I took statistics twice. I passed the second time with a B. F to B. Anyway, it was the only course I ever failed. No, that's not true. What did I fail? I think there was some course in college that I failed. Can't remember what it was though. Anyway, with that being said, there is a way to determine exactly how significant that is. 107.6 to 109 to 116. I mean, it's really close numbers. I mean, we're talking about within 10% difference. What is it? So this number is bigger. Therefore, the apparent size of the moon, and I could be way off here. I could be way off here. I know you can't see what I'm looking at. I could be way off, guys. I could be way off. But based on my logic, if this number here, right here, 116.7, is bigger than 109, then the apparent size of the moon should be smaller than the apparent size of the sun. Marginally. Marginally. However, they appear in reality almost, almost perfectly identical. And here's what I mean by that this would appear to be smaller than 109 versus 116. It's about ratios. It's about ratios. I'm taking the diameter. That's where I'm going to call nonsense even in their numbers. These numbers should be identical. Now, wait a second. What have we got here? 864,039.63. What number is that? 3963. Oh yeah. What they say, yeah, we got that. They say that the sun is 109 times larger than the earth. Okay, and then we have this number here, which is so really what we should be comparing is 107 to 116. Because this is the alleged distance from the sun to the earth. This is the alleged distance from the moon to the earth. This is the alleged diameter of the sun. This is the alleged diameter of the moon. And yeah. Well, let's crank out one more number. I believe that they say this number is 400, but let's just double check. 93 divided by 252, whoopsie, 088. Yeah, 368. So they say 400 times further away. That, in and of itself, isn't accurate. So let's check this out. Let's check this out. Let's do the other number, 864,000. This is the diameter of the sun, allegedly, divided by the diameter of the moon, allegedly, 2159, 400. So allegedly, what we hear over and over again is that the moon is 400 times further away, but also 300 or 400 times difference in size. That, in and of itself, my friends, no, the moon allegedly. There's a lot about the moon that we just don't understand. Yeah, so these numbers that I'm using are based on averages. They're based on averages. Um, I think I'm gonna hop in the Discord, guys. I think I'm gonna hop in the Discord and just chill for the next hour. Let's crank the Discord up. Where is it? But yeah, there you go. There you have it. It doesn't even add up. It doesn't even add up at all. There's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem. All right, let me fix the audio on this, make sure that my microphone, la 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 la, la 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 la. Can you hear me? Can you? Oh, okay, good, good, good. So you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Let's see if this works. Let's go down to where's chill? Let's click that. Let's click that. Okay. So you guys can still hear me according to what I see. According to what I see here in the VC, they can hear me too. So let me know if you have any experience of issues with I'm live streaming on YouTube and DLive. If anyone wants to join me to chat about some random topics in chill VC. Alrighty. There we go. All right, good stuff. I got all these numbers pulled up. It's very fascinating. It really is. So, yeah. See what you guys' comments are. It's a moon orbit at a constant distance. I guess I kind of addressed that. I don't think it's a constant. I don't think that there's any constants, except one, that the Earth is stable, and allegedly that we never. Well, I mean, not really allegedly. Apparently, we never see the other side of the moon. Very fascinating. How about the moon's supposed eclipse? Shadow only being 70 miles wide. So that seems to be confirmable. 70 miles from 2159. So check that out. 2159 when we did the 252,088, so 252,088 miles divided by 2159, what we get is 116. Um, how is that possibly correlated to that 70 miles? It doesn't sound like it is, which could further poke holes into their alleged math, or what I read somebody come up with today, magimatics. Magithematics, I think is what somebody called it. Magic, magithematics. I don't know. They were making fun of the word mathematics and they tried to incorporate the word magic. It's interesting. It's fascinating. I don't know. What does that mean? Iron Argon, welcome. You said, what question are we trying to answer? Well, the question, let's see what's going on here. Alrighty. Oh, hey, Lemon. I am live streaming, just so you know, but welcome.
Hello.
You're a little low. Can you hear me okay, though? You there? I heard you the first time, but mathemagical. That makes more sense. Mathemagical. That's good stuff. Lemon, are you there? Oh, wow. He left. Life be like that sometimes. Sometimes. Sometimes life be like that. All right, we'll go here like this. I did. I gave the warning that I was live streaming. Maybe I don't think he'd have any issue with that, but I don't know. Streamer mode is enabled. Stay safe, friend. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. The the whole streamer mode situation. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Okay. All right. Scientism. Kind of like scientism. Yeah, like mathemagical. Thank you with the mathemagical because I definitely messed that up and you fixed that for me, so I appreciate that. Um, I need to direct message him or something. I was perfectly happy um, with him being here. I'll just do that little number. Back here. All righty. It's impossible for a shadow to be smaller than the object casting the shadow, right? Hold on. It's impossible for a shadow to be smaller than the object casting the shadow, right? Not if the light source is larger. Yeah, I don't know. But angles, sure. But if you were going to talk about, you're talking about a solar eclipse, yeah? Which we observe the moon blocking the sun in a solar eclipse. Um, if you were to take the information that I just demonstrated that you see here on the screen, right here, all these numbers, well, how do I do this? Isn't there a way to, I thought there might be a way to, you lit up, but I couldn't hear. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, all I have to do is this. Where's the audio? Okay, input.
Hello.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Okay, I switched my microphone to one of my webcams because my microphone is currently connected to Streamlabs and apparently it can't double duty. So welcome and hello. I just figured I'd hop on here and share some of my speculations. And so here's what I was doing. I was doing a little math. I was looking um, at some numbers today, and I got a little curious and a little confused. So I'll share you what I looked at. So they say that the size of the Earth versus the size of the sun, that the sun is 109 times larger than the Earth. Okay. They also, so that's one of the things that they say. So then I took the numbers that they say about, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. So they also say that the distance of the sun is 93 million miles, and obviously these are rounded numbers, and averages and all that. So you got 93 million miles divided by 864,000 miles, which is what they say the diameter of the sun is. So the first number we have is 109. Where
Mm.
Okay, the second number that we get when we take 93 million and divide it by the diameter of the sun is 107.6, mysteriously close to 109.
Mm.
And furthermore, if you would take the moon and we have 252,088 miles, I guess the average distance between the moon and the earth, allegedly, and we take the alleged diameter of the moon, 2159,
Mm.
and we divide those numbers, we get 116.7, a less than 10% difference between the ratio that we get with the sun to the earth in regards to diameter, distance divided by diameter. 116.7 for the moon, 107.6 for the sun. Fascinating. My
It
whole
is it.
Sorry, there's one other thing. My whole life I heard, well, the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, and it's also 400 times further away, blah, 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 blah. I did the math on that, actually, and it doesn't actually add up that way at all. If you go 930 or 93 million, um, if you take 93 million, they say the distance between the sun and the earth, and you take the distance they say of the moon and the earth, you divide those two numbers, you get 368.9. So basically 369, which is a fascinating number, 369, by the way. Um, so there's that. The ratio of the sun distance divided by the moon distance, 369, that's fascinating. But then if you do the diameter difference, it's 400.185. So almost exactly 400 for all intents and purposes. So the 400 thing pans out, but 369 is nowhere near that little thing that they always say about 400 and 400, 400 and 400, which really seems, at least seems, to poke some holes in the story. I'll let you talk. I didn't mean to just go on and on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that it's I guess they rounded it up, so that's why they're getting the number that they're getting. Otherwise, that would be the only way it would, round out to 400, because 369 is a little far off. But basically, they're just making the numbers work with the rules of perspective that they have on file. But I think we're going to be okay because even these Globers now have, a slight misunderstanding of perspective in that, they don't see how objects would set based off of their own perspective rules over, say, a flat plane. So they probably had some sort of oversight, even with their math, that, flat earthers can probably look into and possibly say, hey, this isn't quite working.
That's kind of my point, is that it seems like we could like basically we consider these numbers to be observations that have been extrapolated out to fit inside of a heliocentric model, and therefore are prone, at least in my understanding, are prone to error because they're being applied to a false reality. So they're in that conversion process. There has to be um, some error or uh, lack of truth, falseness to it. Um, at least that's the way I'm looking at it. Somebody in my chat had said, "How about the moon's supposed eclipse shadow being only 70 miles wide?" Um, and then they said, it's impossible for a shadow to be smaller than the object casting the shadow, right?" And then somebody else said, "Not if the light source is larger." It's an interesting. And then somebody else was like, it would depend on the angles, and the casting of the shadow of 70 miles seems to be a confirmable um, phenomenon, right? We could relatively easily confirm, through
Well,
coordination, we could confirm that the shadow is 70 miles, right? During an eclipse, solar eclipse,
right,
that is.
right. But the when the shadow is smaller, the object that has the light cast on it doesn't really have a shadow side. It tends to be more enveloped in light from all sides. And even the shaded side still has a little bit of light wrapping around it. So that does happen, but it's not consistent with the narrative because we don't see the dark side of the moon in partial light. And so that doesn't quite work either. There's always an element that, kind of halfway works, but it doesn't quite work if you step outside of that and say, hey, this won't work with this. Because if you hold up a ball in one of those conditions where, it has a smaller shadow, the dark side is always partially enveloped in light. And it's like a penumbra.
Are
There's
you
no
talking about how it's a strange phenomenon that the fact that we can see the moon during a solar eclipse, like we can see the side that isn't even allegedly being light shining upon it?
Well, even if that were the case, you should see both sides of the moon. You should see the light and the dark side, assuming that the moon isn't some sort of see-through disk or whatever and is a 3D ball. And so that's not quite consistent with the narrative, and that's assuming, that the shadow that we're getting isn't the real shadow, without any of this umbra penumbra business.
Mm,
That could be the actual 70 miles ish or less shadow, and they're assuming an umbra penumbra to kind of go with their model.
okay.
because even when a smaller shadow is cast, the object that has the that's casting the shadow has a side that's partially lit on the other side, so we should still see some of the moon. It would not be fully enveloped in shadow. It would still have some glow if that were the case. Because if you ever hold a ball up in those conditions where the light is kind of hitting the ball, but a smaller shadow is being cast, it's partially enveloped by the light wrapping around the object.
Yeah, I guess I need to do some of my own flashlight experiments to better understand how shadows are cast and the size of those shadows, because I know that if here's the way I look at it, I feel like the closer the object is, the small to the light source, the smaller the shadow. But maybe that's the opposite.
Well, it depends on how many light sources there are.
That's
If you're
true.
in total darkness and there's only one light source, you're going to get that kind of "are you afraid of the dark" sort of shadow, where it'll be light on one side and almost complete darkness on the other. But if there are multiple light sources, that's going to tend to go away because you're going to be lit from more sides.
Which is the
And
fascinating thing about the moon. If it's producing its own light and it's just overwhelmed by the light of the sun, then you're going to have a completely different effect as well. So, um,
Well, the thing is, they achieve the effect with the smaller shadow by using lenses. And so you no longer have a source of light that is radiating out and unfocused. You have a source of light that's being refocused
you're
by
talking about
lensing.
the lensing of the firmament.
The lensing in these experiments to give you a small shadow to discredit, the flat Earth claims.
Oh, okay.
Basically, that would not happen with a radiant source. That would happen with some sort of focusing. So the conditions aren't even matched according to their model anyway. And so you got to hold their feet to the fire. Like, does this element match the model? Does this element match the specifications? Because they'll try to kind of break the conditions a little bit.
Yeah. I wonder if you could convince Witsit to get down here, because I would love to have a conversation with you two guys on the ether, because you guys are both heroes of the ether. Um, so,
Send him a message, see what he's up to in the live stream. Let me see.
well, I think he was in the. Oh, maybe he's out of here. Did he go up to? Oh, it looks like he's not around right this minute. But anyway, he was mentioning some stuff, and I had some ideas. Somebody said something recently about the ether, and I was like, wait a minute. And of course, I'm just going to draw a blank on my idea. Um, Man, I had a really fascinating speculation about the ether, and it had to do with how light was being described according to him. But I also, well, yeah, the light thing. It has to do with light and the Book of Revelation. Um, so I'm not sure how many times you've read the Book of Revelation. Obviously, it's one of those books that people like to try to stay away from a little bit. But with the Book of Revelation specifically, what I'm referring to is how it describes the light going forth
Very
like
neat.
a. Thank you, Recycled Bear. The light going forth like a river, and it is uh, okay. So not the light. What I'm referring to is the living water, and how the living water goes forth in the book of Revelation. It talks about the living water going forth like a river, and it also equates the living water with the dominion of God, his dominion over all things. And we also know God to be like just an overwhelming light. I'm just interested in how that may or may not correlate to or with these new ways that the ether is being described. I'm going to pull up a video for the folks that are watching the live stream. there's a video by the Slow Mo Brothers or whatever in the world, um, the Slow Mo guys.
Revelation 22:1,
Yeah,
God going forth like a living water or something like that.
yes, and for some reason that made me think about, well, just the nature of him being like light, and then how all these things may correlate. Because what I was hearing with this theory of how light operates, um, what it says it all the time, instantaneous uh, instantaneous action at a distance, something along those
Mhm.
lines.
Right.
Yeah. Um, so that seems to have some type of analogy or a metaphor for how God has dominion and presence, like the omnipresence of God in, and the only thing that is preventing us from fully being aware of the omnipresence of God is hypothetically, and this is just my imagination and speculation. This is not Bible. This is just my imagination, guys. But is the ether hypothetically the material that separates us from the awareness of the omnipresence of God?
It could be. I mean, the Bible does seem to give at least somewhat of an impression of water. The waters from the waters, the land being brought forth out of the water. So, in some level, on some
Uninterrupted.
level, the primordial substance from which everything surges appears to be, if not, God Himself, the water. So from that, you can, go in several different theoretical dimensions depending on what you want to do.
Sure. All
So
right.
it appears that we have, stuff that tends to take form like a solid, and stuff that tends to not take form, like the liquid, the air, say the ether. So that appears to be the two main distinctions: stuff that tends to take form versus stuff that doesn't tend to take form. So you would have a fluid medium like ether, there, possibly from that conception alone, with stuff in it, swimming in it, suspended in it, between the solid stuff that's suspended in the medium and the medium itself, be it, water, air, ether, whatever.
So I'm showing that video where they demonstrate the 10 trillion frames per second and light transporting through the water bottle, for instance. And what we see is not really a wave, not really a particle, but more so like almost like a gas. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like it. It's just very fascinating. Almost looks like a gas going through the water bottle. You're familiar with the video I'm talking about? Do I need to post it in the chat? I can.
Let me see. I'm in the chill text chat. Yeah, I
I
think I've
just,
seen a video like this.
yeah, I posted it there
One of
for you.
those.
So
Yeah.
at the 5 minute and 30 mark, 5 minute and 30-second mark, it keeps on showing over and over again of the light going through the water bottle, and then they do another one. Where do they do this? Okay, so somewhere in the 8 minute and 45-second mark, they are um, showing light on, like, just being shined, I guess, on these objects, and it's the exact same effect. And what they like, I didn't do this experiment. I don't know the complete truthfulness of this experiment and how 10 trillion frames per second is even possible or any of that stuff, but they claim that this is not CGI. It just looks like CGI. I don't know if that's a true claim or not, but if there's truth to what they're demonstrating in how light is traveling and it looks so much like a gas, that to me is really fascinating. And the way that Witsit has
Um,
been explaining light being basically a revelation of something happening with the ether, as opposed to what we've always conceived light to be. That just kind of it's a mind warp. It's really hard to start wrapping your mind around these things, but fascinating nonetheless.
Well, there are two main philosophies for how light travels currently. Either it has some sort of particulate nature, or you can launch it through another material, kind of like a laser or like a bullet. It is used to prop up atomism. Matter separated from other matter by a vacuum void. The only thing that we even believe could think that could travel through that is some sort of particulate light like a bullet. The other one says that we're basically swimming in some sort of field or sea, and there's a wave undulations that we interpret as light. So there's one that says it's basically something that can be launched in a particulate fashion, and the other one that says that it is just a wave perturbation, just waves of the medium. So those appear to be the two main ways that light travels. Now this could be explained by the waves of the material just spreading the light and undulating in such a way that the light is spread, perhaps. you know um and basically that can help explain phenomena like the fact that when you turn on a light, bullets of light don't just fly out of the light, and break the bulb. Or when you turn on a light or light something up, it doesn't leave mass. It appears that.
I like how you put that. Bullets of light don't just yeah, I mean that's fascinating. It's pretty funny how um yeah, go ahead. Let finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Well, the wave theory helps when you have light traveling from air to, say, glass to air, because if it was particulate in some way, form, or whatever, it would slow down. Normally a bullet, when it hits glass, that's it. It just slows down, but it goes from air to glass to air without even losing any
Well,
speed. Heart.
even crazier, and this goes back to, and I never really thought about this, like I was raised in an atomistic understanding of reality, that everything had, except I also believed in the spiritual, but this claim that everything has some level of physical, if we experience it in our physical reality, then it must have some physical reality presence, right? This atomism concept. But with that said, it isn't.
Never heard of atomism.
What?
Hey guys.
Oh, hey there. I'm live streaming, by the way, just so
Oh,
you guys do know.
sorry.
No, feel free
Hey,
to
Christy.
hang out
Hey Lemon.
and talk. But this whole idea that everything has some type of physical reality to it or whatever, and the whole particle and all that. Then when you add that light can go into a medium such as water, slow down, but then exit and speed back up, defying all other principles of natural observation, not necessarily want to call it natural law, but definitely natural observation of all other kinds. I don't understand how anybody ever justified having feeling comfortable with not just putting light into a completely different category of reality, and not trying to equivocate it. And I can't help but just think that it has to do with people wanting to always explain away God. But it might have more to do with something else. But from my perspective, I can't help but think that their pursuit of trying to turn light into something that's a little bit more physically tangible, though it defies all these different um, observations. I don't know. That's just the way I'm looking at it.
How do you equivocate light?
It's equivocated in in calling it a particle. It's equivocated in calling it a wave like sound, for instance, which technically sound, so far as I understand sound, my observations and everything, I would say that sound it travels and it can be absorbed and then not also exit that absorption and keep on going and and go anyway. It just sound and light, in my observation understanding, can't be compared in a perfect 1-to-1 ratio. It doesn't even make logical sense to me, but people have explained that sound can make light, but I don't know that it is the other way around. Can light make sound?
Yes.
How?
There is there is some there are a couple technologies that will use a laser pointer to beam um, basically electricity or whatever to a receiver in someone's ear and shoot a sound to them, kind of like across the room in a way that nobody else, would hear. Kind of like a telephone, but it's using light and lasers. And so, it would be, I guess, a way to, use it without, radio frequencies being picked up by, people spying on your frequency, that sort of thing, by
Sure.
using light to kind of carry the sound to a receiver. So it does appear that we might have a little bit of both, a transfer from electricity to light to sound, maybe kind of back and forth a little bit, but I'd have to look into that a bit more.
Thank
Is it
you, Gunner.
dangerous to point a laser at someone's head, even if it's not their eye?
Well, it's pointed at the receiver, so you try not to point it at their head.
But
That
is
does,
it dangerous to point it at laser? Because I just got a really strong laser, and I was like trying to put it on the roof of this big tall building, and I didn't think about the windows. I was probably going through the windows, and like I gotta be careful with this thing. It's kind of scary.
yeah.
It depends on the coherency of the laser beam, the power. Depends
Do,
on how many, I guess, watts are in the laser to see if it'll cut through you or whatever.
do you have
Probably
one of
like a
those
low power.
purple lasers, or
No,
Christy?
it's green.
Oh, it's a green one. Yeah, I have a green one. I'm trying to corrosion my. It's old and it has corrosion from old batteries, and I'm trying to remedy that situation. But I hear that the purple laser is the one that they use for these long distance laser observation and experiments, right?
Hmm.
Isn't it one of the more powerful ones or most powerful ones?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
certain colors
powerful.
you can see better on the spectrum, whatever color it is.
Oh, really? Okay,
It
But
fascinating.
says, what do you think? Output or input?
I don't know
output.
what's that.
Do you look at the input or the output
I
Out
for
imagine the
how
output.
powerful?
output, I would believe.
Yeah.
3.7 volt, I guess it's a V, and then slash 1000 M capital A.
Milliamps.
Is that the battery?
Yeah, that
Oh
sounds
yeah, that's
sounds about
on
right.
the battery charger. So that's not the pointer.
Yeah, the output's how much electrical power generally would come out or whatever, slightly correlated to, I guess, the brightness or the strength of the beam or how far it can go, roughly something like
I want to say
Okay,
it's the
here it
watts.
says wavelength 532 nm
That in
something,
nanometers. Yeah, yeah.
and then class 3 laser product.
Yep.
What's that mean?
Yeah, that has to do with how stuff is licensed and
The legality of it, yeah. Certain
yeah,
lasers are illegal to own by civilians.
basically.
Legal or illegal? And I'm on live stream.
No, I
you,
mean if you
yours would be
bought it
fine.
on Amazon or at a store, I mean, yeah, you're not just going to have easy access to something that you have to have a license for.
It
There,
came with a key.
what's that?
It came with a key. You
Oh,
can lock it.
fascinating.
Cool.
Isn't that weird?
So,
I'm a little scared of it. I just want to
That's for
know before
kids.
I
Because
use it.
kids will shine it at airplanes and stuff.
so are are people saying basically that light and sound really should have some type of equivocated understanding that they are somehow interlinked or I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Did they have a are they in like, you know how things are mutually exclusive or they're not mutually exclusive? Are light and sound, do they just interact with each other? Are they part of the same thing? Um, one of my commenters on my live stream said, "Remember, according to science, light and sound are on the same spectrum." Um, and I actually didn't know or remember that. I If that's the case, is sound like past radio waves, or how, I don't. They are
Yeah,
on
I
the
know you
same spectrum. Somebody just said.
you can make a star in a jar with sound, right?
Sorry, say that again.
You can make a star in a jar,
I don't know
and
what that
that's
is.
it's by using sound to make light, essentially.
I just.
Look it up on YouTube.
I
It's
guess I
fascinating.
guess I do need to look that up.
I'm
Star in a jar.
I'm gonna post it right now.
Oh, thank you.
Make sure this is the right
So
one.
everything has is a frequency the same thing as a sound?
Well, Gary Bennett, which I'm not familiar with that name, Gary Bennett says visible light is part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Sound is not. Um, but yeah, I hear where you're going with that, Christy, where you're saying the whole frequency thing. Does everything just have a frequency? I
And is that like a vibration? Like
bring up an electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, I'll pull it up. I'll pull that up. Good idea.
it
Good
seems
idea.
like sound is like a vibration, like a
Because
everything's alive. Energy, light, you
all
know.
right, what we have.
Connected. No separation.
Hey Lemon, do you have a good video for star in a jar?
Let me see if I can put one in show VC.
All the
All
ones
right.
I'm finding are just weird. I don't like them.
You know you're called salt and you're called light. Wonder what salt has in it.
Salt helps transfer electrical signals. I guess you could
Okay.
say it helps transfer and or store energy on a certain level.
Ah, so we're like a conductor for the Lord.
Pretty much.
That's a. The fact that salt is definitely used in storage of energy, and you apply that to the metaphor of us being the salt of the earth, and the salt losing its saltiness, and all those different metaphors. Man, that is that is some fascinating stuff when you start. I don't like to extrapolate too far, but I think that that's some pretty fun stuff. All right, so I put this on my live stream. You've got gamma rays being the smallest and radio waves being the largest. Uh, that's in regards to wavelength in meters. And um, there's frequency. One is 10 to the 20. And then so 10 to the 20 being in the range of gamma rays, and then 10 to the 4 being the frequency for radio waves. Um, so that's fascinating. That's an interesting little photo that kind of demonstrates. I'll post it in the Discord live chat for you guys too. Um,
Yeah,
Are you on your live stream?
what's that?
I put the star in the jar video in the chill text.
Yeah, thank you. I posted a link to my live stream in the chill text. It's, I don't know, 15 comments back. So there's a picture of that, and there's another picture here. Hold on. Pull this one up. Copy. This is the nanometer one because this is kind of fascinating too. This is just the visible light stuff, or not. Well, it shows visible light, but also shows all the other ones, the radio waves all the way to gamma waves, with the nanometer wavelength to kilometer. So radio waves go up to the kilometer range, and gamma rays are in the nanometer, but smaller than nanometer, really, 10 to the -6 nanometers. Yeah, nanometers. Um, and then you've got visible light being a wave that is, and there are people that understand this a lot better than me. I don't really understand how they measure the
Well,
wavelength.
they think of these waves basically traveling as a loop that goes up and down and up, kind of like that
What's
is
reading
based.
it though? What instrumentation do they use to read a wave to therefore then also measure it? This is
Well, they talk about the repetitions of the cycle. You get a hit, boom, 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 based off of the instrument, a couple thousand cycles a minute, and each hit is like a cycle, boom, 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 and so they basically measure the frequency of, I guess, the hits electronically or something like that. And for the actual wavelength, or like how tall the wave is, I guess they use different models for that. They have different instrumentation to read it and give you a readout looking like a little sine wave on the little instrument, um, something like that.
I got you.
So the wavelength, basically the higher the wavelength that you're getting toward really big long waves that are like miles and miles long for like radio waves, all the way to like really short, tight, compact waves toward the other end of the spectrum, toward like the microwave gamma ray side. They're really tight and compact, and those waves are like really thin. You're getting like millions of cycles, billions of cycles a second and stuff like that. Boom, 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 kind of like that.
And I'm wondering if if these things are hmm, how is sound waves related or not related?
Well, sound waves need a medium of air to basically be noted by your ear as a sound.
But
It's similar
these other
that
waves don't, because they can propagate through the ether, but sound can't,
it
basically.
needs air. It needs air to excite and hit your ear for you to note a sound. Because if they put a bell in a vacuum, it'll keep ringing, but you won't hear it. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
appears that air is needed.
It's a little fascinating that sound is a wave, light is a wave, sound can't propagate through the ether, but light can. Is it because it's a different wavelength, or is it because it's something qualitatively different?
It may be going through the ether, but without that air kind of, to hit your ear,
Oh,
it's
that,
not gonna be
yeah.
good.
Well, with that being said, we don't physically experience those other waves anyway. So, um, the
I
question
guess you can
is,
kind of think of it like,
can
well,
instrumentation pick up audio waves in a vacuum?
good question. I do not know.
Has anyone put
I
a voice recorder in a vacuum and tried that?
Well, I know that what's his name, not Cody's lab, but the Action Lab dude, which I think is two different people, if I'm not mistaken. But the Action Lab guy that always throws stuff in vacuums, he definitely put a microphone in a vacuum and then tested sound and then added that air back, and you could hear it. He took the air out, you couldn't hear it. But my question is, that's what we can hear. What about instrumentation that's simply able to perceive waves or register waves? I don't know how that would work exactly, but I don't know. I'm way out in imagination land, it feels like. Okay, so somebody told me Iron Argon on my live chat says watch some of Eric Lathwaite's stuff. Maybe he can help me understand waves. Have you guys heard of Eric Lathwaite?
Don't think so.
Pretty fancy name there. Haven't heard of that guy, but yeah, thank you, Iron Argon.
Well, Gary Bennett says sound does not travel through a vacuum; it needs a medium to propagate through, which is what I've heard too. Um, I guess we'd have to see what, if anything, travels through a vacuum sound-wise, or no, with or without air, to see if there's anything more to this than meets the eye. But that's basically what they're saying. Sound can't travel through a vacuum.
So one of my guys, Iron Argon, says sound does propagate through ether. They are both waves, just at different frequencies. So I'm sure there's an experiment to confirm that claim. And I guess the more that we dig into that I mean, that's really some fascinating stuff. Shrimp punches so hard that water evaporates and creates vacuum bubbles that instantly collapse. Um, Somebody was mentioning the mantis shrimp that does that weird snappy weird thing. He was talking about how it punches so hard that water evaporates and creates a vacuum bubbles that instantly collapse. It's a really, yeah, there's some really fascinating. There's that creature that's pretty fascinating. The water bear obviously is a very fascinating. The flagellum of bacteria. What's the thing that has like, it's not RPMs, um, but it's little flagellum go at like a million something or others. Do you guys know what I'm talking? Somebody here knows what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, Lemon?
You're talking about the microflagellum,
Yeah, that. What's the thing that goes like retardedly fast?
like bacteria. I'm trying to think of like an eel, maybe like a fish.
No, it's a flagellum thing, and it has a number. It moves so fast. I don't know if it's rotations or the little
Rotor, micro rotor.
moving millions. I'll just do that as my search terms. It's another really fascinating. Um, I can't remember. Somebody knows a lot more about, or just remembers that.
Don't look at me.
Um, flagellum. I don't know. Scientist,
What is this?
whoever scientist. He's the one that knows. Um, okay, so Gary Bennett posted a little video here. Sounded
Yeah.
vacuum. Let's check this
First
out.
it's silent, the bell in there is silent, but when the air's let in, you can hear it ringing in the vacuum. I guess the main thing I'm wondering is if any waves are traveling with or without the medium of air there. But if you're not hearing it, I guess the waves aren't traveling to your ear. But I'm just wondering if any waves are still traveling with or without you hearing it with the vacuum. But
The sound can travel through the air
What's
out into
this
the room.
picture you posted of the electromagnetic spectrum at the bottom there? It says temperature of bodies emitting the wavelength.
Yeah,
Are those human bodies or those
I think that they're
other?
referring to the bodies of the objects that propagate those rays, because as far as I
with
understand
like
it,
an infrared
gamma rays come from
cam.
the sun allegedly, as far as I understand it, and I think that that's what they're referring to. Uh,
Well, the light that's emitted has a wavelength, and these waves are getting fatter and fatter and fatter with bigger wavelengths toward the radio spectrum and thinner and thinner and thinner toward gamma ray. And so it's basically talking about how big these waves are when you measure them, I guess, with a device in um, micrometers or something. I'd have to see what the unit is. Nanometers.
So many
nanometers, yeah.
reminiscence.
A meter is like a billionth of a meter, something like that.
Hmm.
Because you got micrometers, which are like a thousandth, I want to say, and then nano, which is like nth, pico, which is like a trillionth, I think, or something like that. When you cut
Yeah,
it into like a piece or
picometer.
something like that. I'd have to look at the prefixes.
So where it says frequency right above that, it says 10 to the fourth, 10 to the eighth, on and on. But it looks like it's lined up sort of with the things above it, or am I just
That is
trying to
correct.
make sense?
it's going straight down. So under radio, it's 10 to the third.
I'm
Well,
watching your
Oh, okay. I
star
was
in a
looking at
jar.
the buildings and humans and honeybee and that. Okay, so it goes, those lines go up to where it says radio, microwave, infrared.
Yeah, that's talking about the size of the wavelength. It's just giving an equivocation between as small as an alleged atomic nuclei all the way up to building size. But it really
and
goes up to 100,000 kilometers according to the other chart. So obviously buildings are nowhere near 100,000, or maybe was it 100 kilometers?
100 kilometers, that'd
100.
be like
Yeah,
60
100.
miles.
100 kilometers is still obviously way bigger than any building. Um,
Way bigger. The biggest building we have is like Burj Khalifa, which is like half a mile, if that, hardly half a mile.
yeah, which is goodness gracious. Talk about big. I don't know if it puts the Tower of Babel to shame, but it probably comes pretty close, if not exceeding. Um,
Getting up there.
Nobody at this point, nobody really knows how big the Tower of Babel was. All right,
10
let's
to
see.
the third, that's at 3 zeros. So that's 1,000. A
Hmm.
1,000 meters. So that's 1 kilometer, about a 6/10 of a mile, something like that.
All right, so Iron Argon, I think, is gone, but he wanted to know what Discord this is. Iron Argon, you can find this Discord on YouTube by just going to 24/7 Flat Earth Discord on YouTube, and there is an invite link underneath. That's probably the easiest, fastest way to get a link to join this Discord. This isn't meant. This live stream wasn't meant to be a commercial for the 24/7 live, 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, but it is a really great place to hang out. There's a lot of cool people here. Um, I have a pretty small following, guys, on YouTube and D Live, but I've definitely been trying to invite folks over from time to time. When I've done that, um, they've come at like it just so happened that some of the people that I've invited over have come uh, during some of the like slowest times in our main chat, and they'll be there and they'll ask some questions, and there'll only be like one, like Flat or Jedi won't be there, and Meme won't be there, and some of the other guys that typically do a great job introducing people. And anyways, hopefully people keep on coming and visiting, and um,
You should put a link in there, or if you're allowed, or send me a link. I'd like to.
to which thing.
Well, I don't know, whatever you got.
Oh well, my D Live is just Gospel Bear. I'm Gospel Bear on Twitch, YouTube, and D Live. It's just the same thing, Gospel Bear. With the ER bearer. It's even hard for me to say, and it's my own username. But
Oh, I see. Your picture has a bear. Okay.
yeah, it does. I saw that in Sioux Falls on vacation. There was this little bear statue, and I was like, I'm taking a picture. Taking it. Thanks,
How funny.
Matthias. So Matthias just found me on YouTube and subscribed. Thank you. Um, but yeah, I've got all these folks that I know through Owen Benjamin, and then I've gotten to know so many different great people on the Flat Earth Discord, and they're both really great communities. What's up, Jeremy? Welcome. Um, so I feel like right now I have one foot in one door and another foot in another door because I'm live streaming and talking to you guys
Ah,
on Discord. It's very it's very
gotcha.
fascinating. But
Gotcha.
anyway, good topics tonight. I still don't understand some of these things much better, but I have some areas where I can look into more things. I have new areas of research that I can look into, such as sound. Can sound propagate through the ether, which Sorry. Access Through Christ has just
Yeah.
subscribed. Oh, thank you. Um, but yeah, I'm now going to look into, can sound propagate through ether? That's fascinating. Um, Tower of Babel took a year to get a block to the top.
Oh
so
my
I,
God.
so my buddy Iron Argon, which if you know the periodic table of elements, his screen name is very fun because Iron is Fe and Argon is Ar, so FEAR, fear. Is very he's a clever guy. But
How do they know it took a year to get a block to the top? They have like sound frequency type, like
well,
angelic type moving
it's a good
equipment?
question. Iron Argon, if you're still here, I think he left by now, but if anybody else knows, um, if anybody else knows, did that come from the Book of Enoch? That's my speculation, but I don't know.
The Book of Enoch for the Tower of Babel?
Well, no, specifically the information where he says the Tower of Babel, it took a year to get a block to the top of the tower. Where did he get that information from? My speculation is the Book of Enoch, but I don't know. 'Cause
It's
I don't
not the
remember that
Bible.
being in the Bible. That's all.
Yeah.
It could have been. I mean, it could be. I just don't remember that verse. Um,
Well, I never knew about the foreskin hill until I read
the
it in the New Living Testament.
the what?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're on your live stream.
No,
The
it's
foreskin hill.
Hill, Hill.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar. I have no idea what that is.
I know. I didn't either, but it's
What
like
verse?
in the oh, I'm not sure. I'll look it up though.
Yeah, thank you.
It was about circumcision.
Yeah, okay, it's fine. We found the magic frequency. This will revolutionize our future. Nikola Tesla was right. Blah blah blah. Fe Jesus posted this in the Discord. Um, yeah, I don't know, the whole frequency thing and the 432 and the 440 and 432. Some of that stuff kind of it reminds me of gematria, and it kind of makes me a little nauseous. Personally, I know some people are really really into it. Um, it reminds me of gematria, and that nauseates me just a little bit. I could just be a little stubborn and a little closed minded because I like to avoid things that are potentially related to demons and or like when people start talking about astral projection and all that, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to entertain that personally. Anyway, this other guy, Gary, said, if we suppose the ether permeates everything, we can deduce from the 26-second video, sound does not travel through the ether. Not necessarily. Just because we can't discern it with our ears doesn't mean that something isn't happening that we just can't perceive with our ears. All right, Joshua 5:3. And Joshua made him sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the force. That's okay. Let me look that up because obviously that's a translation situation. I
And
when
that's
whenever I have a
King
question,
James.
whenever I have a question, I love to go to Blue Letter Bible.
Right.
Highly recommend it. And
Yeah,
it's
tell me what you find.
a great way to discern potential other meanings for a word. Um, let's see. The children of Israel, the second time, Joshua 5:3. So the King James apparently calls it the Hill of Foreskins, which is insane because I never remember those words.
I know, right?
Or law is the Hebrew word. I would
The
have
hill Gabriel or something like that.
I would have
Some of the
actually pronounced it Arlaw, but it's transliterated Orlaw. So let me look at this word. Arlaw. Foreskin, uncircumcised, membrum, the foreskin of the heart, um, Arla Lev, foreskin of a tree, the fruit of the first 3 years. See, the thing is, that word has a lot of metaphorical um, use. It's a really fascinating word. Um, it really is. So, what does it mean? It could be a metaphorical meaning. I I mean, obviously, I have a pretty
Well, they
strong feeling
took
it's not.
flint knives and circumcised the entire male population of Israel at
Mhm.
Gabeath Haraloth. And
Yeah.
then that Gabeath Haraloth is the hill of the. I didn't mean to get you off topic.
No, it's fine. It's all good. I do Bible stuff every day almost, but
Yeah, I think this is a literal, like it started making a hill because there were so many, maybe. I mean, I don't know how many people, but
millions. Yeah, I mean that's a fascinating idea, but according to certain, I don't know. There's yeah, Jeremy, my buddy Jeremy said Gibeath Haraloth um as well. It's the hill of foreskins. Better hide it from Sandra Bullock's face. That is hilarious, Creative Bear. Um, so one of my buddies here, Creative Bear, said the hill of foreskins. Better hide it from Sandra Bullock's face. I don't know if you guys in the Discord here know, but Sandra Bullock bragged on the Ellen show about getting um, foreskin facials,
Oh
oh
Lord.
no.
and Owen Benjamin talked about this practically a year, probably a year ago. It's kind of old news, but it's just one of the many disgusting things about one random people in Hollywood. Um,
Well, I heard that Kobe used to get stem cell treatments on his knee to stay at the top of his game,
wow.
probably basketball. So off of the blood of our
Yeah.
children, it seems we're
Yeah.
getting a lot of
Um,
anti aging youth treatments and stuff.
Yeah. 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 That's yeah. I mean, I hear about somebody getting stem cell treatments as yeah, it's creepy stuff. I can't help but think satanic. But then again with Owen did the whole expose on Kobe with his what was the anybody in my chat can help me out with this. There's this magical practice that Kobe did, and he did this little children's cartoon demonstrating this practice of magic, and he called it oh gosh, there was a name for it. Muse Cage. Thank you, Chinese Bear. Thank you very much. That was you were Johnny on the spot with that one. So Kobe Bryant did this thing called muse caging, um, and it's a satanic magical practice that a lot of high-profile people use. It is what a high-profile consultant would be teaching somebody for $300 an hour or $1,000 an hour. Muse caging is a type of magic that allows somebody to harness types of magic. Yeah, you already got it.
Well, the thing is,
there,
the future is
there it
the
is.
past. So, I mean, calling it a muse, this just shows that the ancient Greeks were consulting demons and spirits right there, and that they're, using familiar, spirits and spiritualism
Look
to
at the
get
serpent.
inspiration.
I mean, his little what do you call it? The little mamba. I mean,
Mhm.
this stuff
I've
is
been to Satanic Sesame Street. Gotta love it. Teaching our kids, all sorts of, occult doctrine and stuff. Harry Potter, this, it's just, you got Billie Eilish. They're trying to make, Satanism and Luciferianism mainstream. Go get a Ouija board. Sign your name in blood. Open up this door to this increasingly demonic world.
I
Mm-hmm.
every time, so I watch a lot of Owen streams, and then of course I'm in the 24/7 Discord or Flat Earth Discord almost daily, well 5 days a week, um, and I hear people bring up David Icke, and I'm like, guys, do you just really? Why do you have to be? Somebody brings up astral projection almost every day in the Flat Earth Discord, and I'm just like, you guys just don't get it, do you? You just don't get it.
It's demonic.
It it is, but people seem to be okay with defining their own morality, even though they know that there's an intellectual problem with doing that. Like they know logically that that's not a good idea. Most of them would acknowledge that. However, their practice, the way that they live, opposes their own ideology. It's really fascinating.
Well, you know that movie, Jupiter Ascending? They have some sort of liquid that they go in to get younger. And, that it was
I
after
haven't
I'd
seen that.
seen that. Yeah. And then I was just looking up to find the name of that movie. And guess what came up? Black Swan.
Which, I love to talk to my wife about these. I know blacks. I love to talk to my wife about these sorts of things because she's kind of a neutral observer. Doesn't really like to participate too much in the rabbit trails and stuff, rabbit holes. So I asked her, "What is this phrase?" She's the person I bounce these kinds of questions to get a really great neutral perspective, an ungraveled perspective, in other words. And I said, "What does this mean to you?" And she told me, "Well, it reminds me of that satanic lesbian movie, The Black Swan." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't think of that at all." But yeah,
I
that's
mean, that's what I was thinking of too. But I mean, when I heard it, kind of coming to the flat Earth movement, I said it rallies the troops, it forces the Globers' hand, and that they have to subject their model to some sort of mathematical and scrutiny to see if they have a horizon at all. Okay, that's great. But I said to myself, is this a CIA infiltration ploy? I mean, the main ways that they're trying to infiltrate flat Earth is number one, directed away from vigorous faith in a creator, especially a Christian one. Barring
yeah,
that, get down some sort of esoteric UFO New Age rabbit hole, and just direct it away, via, Mark Sargent or Patricia Steer, into the New Age, as little Christianity as possible, number two. And number, three, docs discredit and embarrass its members so that because believing
yeah.
in this or even, expressing critical thought about this becomes radioactive. And so I was like, is this like some sort of CIA term, Black Swan? I was looking, at, YouTube video, seeing, did the CIA handle this? Is this some sort of satanic
Well, I think
term?
I think Quantum Eraser is the one that really. I think that was his original idea. I could be wrong on that. Um,
Original idea. I mean, like, it's not even really a flat earth thing.
well, yeah. I know what you mean. It's a silly little thing. It's not a big. It's a meta. It's meant to be a metaphor, as far as I see it. At best, it's just a metaphor. So one of my buddies, Homestead Bound Bear, says this guy gets it. What's his name? Um, Lemon, do you have a bear name? Did you ever do like, hey, verify me as?
I think I tried to go under Bear Fruit, but I tend to be a little weird in the chat, so I might have gotten banned once or twice.
Hey,
So
I've been
Bear
banned
Fruit.
a couple of times. I totally get it. It's usually because I get a little overpassionate and use caps. I've been banned a couple of times, but I get redeemed status most of the time. Um, so bear fruit's a good one. But yeah, lemon swan is his name on the Flat Earth Discord. Homestead Bound Bear, and he's obviously familiar with Owen, but more so Lemon is
Huge fan.
a
Huge fan.
lover of Jesus, which is more important. And yeah, so anyway, what topic were we on?
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there
But
you go.
but we were talking about the various, methods to sabotage and infiltrate, truth
Yeah.
movements,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
what I love about, the flat earth. It's grassroots. We inform the members as much as possible. Go out, do your own research. Here is the information. Become strong in your own right. No leader to take down, no easy way to co-op, And so it's a really good way to do a movement from the grassroots level.
Yeah. It, it's interesting because I spent my whole life, and I've talked about this a couple of times, but I spent my whole life rationalizing creation as it was told to me by scientists, by National Geographic, by Magic School Bus, by all these little models. I spent my whole life rationalizing the creation as it is told in the Bible to those models, and yet I was still able to maintain, and I believe that faith is a gift, but I was still able to maintain faith that God did these things and that God is the one that holds things together, not gravity, not chance, not evolution. I still attributed all of these things to God. I just had tried to make what they told me also work, and it made sense to me, and I have compassion for anybody that still adheres to heliocentrism or otherwise, spherical and all of that. It's, I guess it's always a good question as to who do you attribute all of these things to, and then on the other hand, once you start looking at it from a perspective of the flat earth, you go, wow, a lot of this stuff is a whole lot easier, makes a whole lot more sense when you look at it from this perspective. It's it's fascinating. I have met some people that, and Flat Earth PhD is one of them. I love the guy. He said that learning about the flat Earth brought him to the Bible, brought him to Jesus, and he thanks God, thanks Jesus for learning about these things, and attributes his salvation and faith from learning about the flat Earth. Which, uh, all glory to God. God gets the glory, not flat Earth, but because it's about the Creator, not the creation. But on the other hand, that usually also makes me a little nervous when somebody says something like that. And I don't worry for him because I think Randy's a great guy, um but I also worry and go, whoa, what if hypothetically, because right, flat earthers say that we're waiting for evidence of the curve. Well, hypothetically, what if, I know it's a huge what if at this point, I know it's a cosmic galactic what if at this point, I get it. But on the other hand, what if we do get evidence of that curve? It would be a tragedy, on the other hand, in my opinion, the way that I look at it, for somebody to go, oh, well, therefore, I'm going to call everything back into question because I've now discovered that it is possible that it's all from chance. See, I personally start with the premise that God made everything. We're not going, Ecclesiastes 8:17, we're not ever going to understand all about it. Okay? There's going to be mystery. That's the premises I start with. Not everybody necessarily starts with those premises, but I don't know, guys. You want to chime in on what I? How do you feel about what I
Can I
just said?
jump in?
Yeah, of course.
Can I jump in? Uh, I was just thinking while you were saying all that, like the journey that you took and what a struggle it was, and then you still don't have all your questions answered, and then when you can actually rest in knowing that God is who he says he is and accept the Bible as truth and like rest and just knowing you can stop there, but there's so much more deeper I think that we can go, like the Fibonacci sequence and stuff like that, where you start looking at the creation through new eyes and see what God actually did, because science has got people in such a box, it's hard to get out of the box to go look. That was my thoughts.
Yeah. There's endless information of creation alone for us to understand and research and just marvel. And even further so, God is obviously so infinite that we would never reach the end of trying to understand him either. So
And what would happen if you start asking God to give you dreams, to give you
sure, yeah,
more wisdom, to give you more insight into his creation and how it relates to each other and
sure.
different things that aren't explained by science, because
I think some
either
people
they
are
haven't
afraid
even
of that
done it
prayer.
or
I really believe that some people are afraid of that prayer.
Well, the science is a bit of a problem because it wants, to basically extol man and his intellect. And so they can't make that, proud step to say, hey, God, I don't know everything, reveal to me knowledge. They want to extol the human intellect and human rationality. It comes from a bit of a proud spirit, a little bit of communism, because they want to believe we're all the same and we all have equal access to intelligence, rationality, no special revelation, no special relationship, no, gifts, no transcendence, just materialism and, logic and, strict, adherence to protocol and steps. And you have to do this and you can't do anything else. Just very rigid and just very kind of, envious, when people like Tesla and even the dude who came up with the chemical formula for benzene or whatever, they would get a revelation from dreams. They think get an answer to something when they weren't thinking about something. Not so dogmatic and so rigid, and being like, well, I have to actively think about this, otherwise I reject it. You know what I mean? They were flexible. And that seems like, if we would have gone down that route, in academia and in our lives, we could have relaxed a little bit with, some faith, some, revelation from something other than ourselves, just to relax a little bit.
Hmm. I've I've done the thought experiment um, on occasion. It's one of my favorite ideas to speculate on, and I think it'd be beautiful to make a movie and or a huge anthology of books on. But could you imagine if our development of technology was a Tesla-esque development of technology paired with botany and biology in regards to I just imagine what it would have been like if we had um, developed technology over the ages with with concert of nature. Like
Well,
it's
uh,
just a fascinating thought experiment to me.
you're talking about technology that would have been organic and
Yeah,
pro-human versus anti-human.
yeah,
It's some organicness, some, not, frustrating yourself to hell when you press the wrong button on a program and you're spending the next hour being like, what did I do wrong, and stuff like that, stressing yourself out with this anti-human, probably satanic computer, something that would have developed with, mankind in mind, not something that was ultimately meant to supplant and replace us and, become the AI for Satan. Nothing but the modern golem. To be possessed as a suitable body by these fallen angels and demons and stuff. Something that wasn't meant to replace and push out humanity, but something that was actually meant to work with us. Not just this surveillance phone or this surveillance computer that'll just turn on whenever the CIA or the NSA wants to spy on me or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
here's something interesting. I'm just looking at your YouTube channel, how the voice is going up and down, and it's reading my exact vocal cords. And we were
yeah.
talking about sound earlier,
Hmm.
and I don't know if you've heard of reverse speech or not, but this guy, I can't remember his name, just look up reverse speech on YouTube. he's studied for years like the reversing what you're saying, and he's saying like you can't lie, like out of your heart your mouth speaks. So he's done, recordings of, different presidents, and the whole thing with the Kennedy assassination and all that. There's tons of recordings that he's played backwards. You have to listen to it like 100 and some times in order to like catch what you're saying, but that they can't lie. But that technology he was saying could be used to know what's on people's minds that are invalid, they
Mm-hmm.
can't talk or can't speak, but they can make grunts, and that they're actual words. He did it to his own daughter,
Yeah, yeet.
and I can't remember the guy's name, but just say it's Howard or something.
Yeah, yeet.
So she's in the bathtub trying to reach something, and she's making these noises, but it's not actual words. And he records it and he plays it back, and it's like, Howard, help me. Like it wasn't daddy.
Well,
Like she knew.
interesting about
Yeah.
the whole backward thing, though. Backwards, that's a Aleister Crowley thing, and not that he
Well,
invented
it's
the
been used.
concept. Yeah, not that he invented the
It
concept, but there's something tied to. I I would speculate that it's tied to the fallen angels. That this whole the whole upside down world, the backwards world, the whole backwards thing. I speculate that that comes from taking what God says, truth slash logos or logos, and flipping it upside down and or backwards, being the opposite of the truth. Um, that's my speculation on that topic. Anytime I hear backwards, I automatically think this
well,
probably
yeah.
Yeah,
has
yeet.
a connection to something that isn't either of
See,
God
but
and
I did
or
it
of the
myself.
truth. What's
I
that?
I did it myself. I listened to it myself,
Uh huh.
and of myself talking about my daughter,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I heard Adonai, and I was like, oh, I know what that was. And so even language, like if you speak two languages, then that language can come out of your heart because you know it, which I knew that word Adonai means master. And I was saying on the thing, I was like, oh, I know that
Yeah,
word. Let me see
yeet.
if I can figure out what I said there. So I listened to it a bunch of times, and what it said, what I say it, but it was me. It's not Satan. It's not a demon. It's me
Mhm.
talking,
Mhm.
and listening to it in a different form is only a thing of God. It's not a twist of the devil. So it can be if you're doing a ritual or you're singing songs for Satan
I hear
for
what you're saying. Yeah.
out of your
Well,
heart,
I
And
think
you're
that
gonna
their
have a bad,
practice more
you know.
so involves taking something that is and then writing it backward. It's a ritual. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Um,
and
But what I was
also
saying
say,
on there was, I love my daughter. I don't know what I'd do without her.
sure.
And then backwards, I said, I must serve Adonai, which it was really deep to me because without my daughter, what would I do? Right? That's what I was saying. Well, I must serve Adonai. I knew that in my heart. So
Hmm.
that's what I was saying backwards.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What were you
I
gonna say,
didn't really
Lemon?
do it much more. It does kind of freak me out. I know what you're saying, and it sounds weird to listen to it backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
It's
when Obama was doing it, it was
oh, Hail
serve
Satan.
Satan.
Yes, we can. Hail Satan. Mhm.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did hear that one. I remember that one. It's been that whole concept is definitely been around. The doing stuff backwards has been around for quite a while. Um,
So you use it for the Lord if they would allow it, which they won't. They've got this whole frequency thing on the internet here going on. They're like recording our voices. They're getting really good at it. They got the AI going. They can, have the technology to read our voices backwards and, know what's in our heart. And they could like help people if they wanted to, but they're not going to let that happen. They could have a little recording device and let the AI, take care of the people in the nursing home that can't speak. But we don't have that kind of technology because all of our good ideas that are God given and everything has been suppressed.
Yeah. Hmm.
I want something else I wanted to tell you real quick. The whole rainbow thing. I had a dream that the angels were there. They were huge, 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 gigantic angels that were on this. It's almost like paradise or something. It was like a real beautiful colors, just real bright, and hills, and there was this stream, and it had the one of those xylophones that have all the sound, the colors on the sound that was laying like down in the water. And so I
Okay.
don't understand all these things scientifically like you and Lemon do, and a lot of people in here, but they were guarding it. And I thought that is, after I woke up, I was like, that is incredible. Like, it made me realize there's boundaries that they cannot cross. And I liked that because there's angels that we can't see them, but they're there.
Hmm.
And what spectrum, are they in? They're past the gamma ray, probably.
It
They're
it may not
way
be.
above.
Yeah. In my understanding, it's probably not measured in the same way. I don't know that. I think that a lot of the spiritual realm isn't necessarily connected to. Some people disagree because they think that the holy frequency of 432 and those sorts of things. In my understanding, it's speculation, but in my understanding, I don't think that it's measured in the same way. I think that the spiritual realm is separate. I don't I don't feel a need personally to equivocate it to our physical reality, though I know that angels interact with our physical reality. So it's an interesting topic. I think that because for all intents and purposes the Bible's silent in the regards to understanding the scientific or the physicality of it and all that, it's all we can do is speculate. But
Something else that fascinates me is the aurora borealis.
that, I mean, yeah, that's a, I would love, I can't wait until I need to, I hope to see it before I die. I've never seen it with my own eyes. Seeing
What
video
is
of
it?
it doesn't make any sense to me. It looks unreal. So I look forward to seeing it with my own eyes. I'm only in central Iowa currently, so I've heard, maybe this was wrong, but I think that you can see it as south as Minnesota, which is only one state above where I'm at. Um, but I'd like to know at what latitude you need to be to see it, and that would be a vacation that would be worth taking.
And I heard they were doing experiments or something with it the other day, like last week, maybe. If you look it
I've,
up, you can hit the results
Experiments.
button.
I've
Yeah, I
heard
don't
that they
remember
come
what
from
it
the
was
ground.
about. What was it, Brandamite?
I heard that the lights come from the ground, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, they say, I don't know. All that stuff really confuses me because they say lightning comes from the ground first. It goes down, from down to up. All that kind of stuff is just beyond my understanding. Why would the lights come from the ground? That doesn't.
Right, yeah.
Well, from an electrical standpoint, you may be able to have lightning come down or go up. Like there was one video that I saw from a volcanic eruption, and it was interpreted from the alien paradigm. But if the Earth is flat and covered by a firmament dome, then no aliens as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, sure.
But They basically said, you could see with the infrared the volcano erupting and an area of the sky light up. And I guess they were trying to say that there was an alien, taking, energy from the earth or something, or that was up in the sky. But I saw it as more of an electrical discharge coming from the earth, causing the volcano to erupt and go up into the sky. If we're in an electrical, universe, on
Mm.
the ground may have potential to store charge and occasionally erupt in the form of a volcano, a tremor, or something like that. There was a man who tried to get electricity from the ground with his inventions. I think his name was Daniel Stubblefield or something back in the 20s. And
Mm.
he used the ground to power his telephone devices, and it was crisp, clear, powerful telephony even back then. And they alluded to him possibly having surveillance devices in the ground that allowed him to know when intruders were trying to kind of sneak up on his land, from like far away. And he'd meet him with like a rifle or something like that, being like, "Hey, how you doing?" Before they knew that he knew that they were there. And so it looked like, he was, basically taking electricity from the ground. And he would take like a little dowsing thing. He was instructed in the old ways where you could like pick places in the earth that were surging with energy. And he would kind of like use that to like, with his little dowsing rod or whatever, pick out the best sites for the device. And he would put these devices in the earth, and like these little earth batteries, they would take electricity from the earth, but it was location dependent. It wouldn't always work. You had to pick the right place. So perhaps we're on, the pillars of the earth that could be, maybe thought of like as, electrical conduits.
Mm.
Taking this, electricity, generating it, storing it, releasing it. Who knows?
It's fascinating. Interestingly enough, this is complete kind of off topic, but that whole security system that is undetectable. This is a fascinating thing. I heard this from a special ops guy. He said he had done a mission in South America related to cocaine trafficking. I don't know the veracity of everything this guy told me, but it was still a fascinating story at the very least. But he said that when they were on this one, as they were approaching one of these plantations slash properties, the property um, had an extremely long driveway, and lining the driveway were chicken coops. And I that story that he told me always stuck with me as just the most fascinating covert way. So the what happened would be they would make this mile long or 2 mile long driveway before you would get to the house, right? What would happen is they put these chicken coops in succession towards all the way approaching the house, and before anybody could ever reach the house, the chickens, just hearing the road noise, they would start doing their little clucking slash extra noise than normal, and it would go faster than anybody would be traveling down that driveway, and they would be alerted that somebody was coming down the driveway before they could be seen, before they could be heard or any of that, just by the way that the chickens communicated with each other regarding getting disturbed. um, I know that that is really off of topic from anything we've discussed tonight.
Yeah, I was expecting
but
you to say something like, "Oh, we used these copper wires
but
and down these
well,
chicken
kind of going back to my
on the house or
original
something."
idea about how we could interact with nature. um, I always found that as so fascinating, so interesting, but um, and in like just intuitive and unsuspecting. You're driving down the road, you don't see any cameras, and you don't necessarily expect that the chickens are giving you away. Like I don't know. I always thought that was really um, super super fascinating, but it's
I think
relatively simple.
better, cheaper ways to do that, like a little speed bump or a little thing in the road that your tires go over.
But then you don't get eggs.
Yeah, they were never in need of eggs for sure, I bet. Um,
No eggs.
well, anyway, I'm probably about to get finished up as far as my live stream goes, but thanks for joining me down here and just talking about random stuff. And I haven't
Yeah,
felt comfortable enough to live stream the Discord. I considered it for the last several months, but I was always a little worried that maybe a troll would pop down here, or somebody might do something crazy.
Somebody might start talking about Foreskin Hill.
No, that's okay. It's in the Bible. I'm not anything in there. That's completely free game. So I appreciate you bringing that up. That was fascinating at the very least. But
Leave it
anyway,
to
thank you
me.
guys for hanging out. And I'm not telling you guys to leave. I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be wrapping up my live stream. That's all.
is that what this is for? This Netflix or this Flat Earth and Chill thing? Like this
Flat Earth
these
and
new
chill.
room?
Let's go.
Flat Earth and chill. No, I was I was hanging out earlier tonight in the newly named uh speculation, the Flat Earth speculation channel,
Yeah, I just
which
saw
was
that.
going great. That was some good stuff. But I was just hanging out in there, and I was like, okay, I want to go ahead and live stream. And they were talking about, I think, light again. And I was like, okay, let me just go down to a channel that's empty, and yeah. So anyway, I just chose this one and said, hey guys, if you want to come down, and Lemon joined first. Is he still here? Did Lemon
He
leave?
just popped out.
So Lemon joined me first and chatted with me about some of my curiosities about some numbers I was looking at earlier. Because I was looking at some numbers related to the distance of the sun to the Earth versus its diameter, allegedly, everything that they say. And I was seeing some very fascinating um, correlations that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And just for a little recap on that, because um, I did talk about that at the beginning of my stream, but the recap of that is 93 million miles, which I know that's a number you guys are familiar with. 93 million miles being the distance from the sun to the Earth, allegedly. 864,000 miles being the alleged diameter of the sun. You take that bigger number, divide it by the smaller number, that's 107.6. Okay. I found it very interesting that they say that the sun is 109 times larger than the Earth. So I started looking into other correlations here, and I was like, wait a second. So the distance of the sun to the Earth divided by its diameter is about the exact same as the same ratio as the size of the sun to the Earth, allegedly. And then furthermore, then I looked at some of the moon numbers. So for instance, the the distance of the moon divided by the diameter of the moon, allegedly, is 116.7, which is still only less than 10% away from that other number. Um, which I find very fascinating that all these numbers are so close. When you're dealing with it's all about ratios, but those ratios are so close, and I thought that was really fascinating, just as a way to ask some questions about the veracity of their. I mean, we know it's all pretty much nonsense and BS, but I think it's interesting when you start looking at it from different angles like that. And then we always heard, this was the other one. We always heard that allegedly the sun is 400 times further away than the moon, and it's also 400 times bigger. Well, I actually did the math on that, and it just so happens that the the sun is only 369, which I said that that was a fascinating number for them to choose, that the sun is 369 times further away than the moon, and then that the diameter is 400 times larger, but that the distance is only 369 times further. So that whole little thing that they say, well, the reason that the sun and the moon look exactly the same size is 400 times and 400 times. Well, that doesn't even, based on the numbers that they provide, that's not even true. So anyway, that's how I got this whole conversation
Wait,
started. I thought it was kind of fascinating.
if those numbers aren't right, then that means they're making stuff up. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. What in the what? They're making
I'm,
stuff
I'm,
up.
sh- I'm shocked, shocked. I say to hear.
I mean, what tomfoolery is this? Yeah, I know. And I'm not like surprised. It's just it's always not, so this is the way it is for me. Like when somebody's like new archaeological proof that the Bible is true in this specific, I'm like, yeah. Other people are like, yes, this is a victory, yes. And I'm like, uh, uh, okay, yay. I don't do like a parade around the street when they're like new archaeological evidence that this part of the Bible is absolutely fact. I'm like, duh. I'm not surprised because again, back to one of my earlier points, like my faith isn't dependent on tangible proof. It's nice. It just, and then that's what I'm saying about this. It's nice when you see reassurance. It makes you feel good. But as far as
Well,
I
yeah,
stand, my faith isn't on the basis of archaeological proofs, or it's nice when they exist. I don't need them. Same thing with logic. It's nice that the Bible and the prophecy and all these things add up perfectly, and they're extremely logical and all of that. It's nice, but it's not the basis of it, and I would argue that it shouldn't be the basis for faith.
well, like it's like the opposite of like when someone asks, "How do you know the government's lying?" It's like, well, other than the documented times that they admit to it, I just assume that they are. I have faith that they are lying to
Yeah,
me. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
need active proof. It's nice when some article comes out that says that they're, but I don't need that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, well, evidence over time, in history repeating itself, and there's patterns, there's plenty of reason to believe it, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. That's a interesting analogy. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I had a couple guys in my chat that were saying um, that they have seen the aurora borealis and how beautiful it is, and they're just trying to make me jealous. Nice try. No, I do really, really want to see it, but
Yeah, same here, same here.
there's not a southern equivalent, is there?
I don't know. I've never seen either with my own eyes, so I couldn't tell you.
I know that there's not a landmass close enough to the south, to Antarctica as there is to the north. So
Well, wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute. Like, it's a sphere on both ends. So if there's one on the north, there's got to be one on the south because of the magnetics, right?
if yeah.
No, I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay, yeah. But even I mean that'd be a faulty premise in the first place. If this, then this, but it would involve a faulty premise or axiom.
It's actual perfect globe math. It always works. Whatever you need it to do.
As I
Well,
was
that's what.
kind
But it
of
doesn't
trying
make
to
sense. Like,
demonstrate with my
yeah,
numbers.
that's what I was just saying. You'd think that they'd make up the right numbers. Like have them actively be right, as opposed to. But no,
Yeah,
they assume no one's going to check it, and when they do, they're like, "Well, it can't. It must be. Maybe I just did it wrong."
yeah, exactly. Everything it winds up, they're able to point the finger, pass the buck, kick the ball down the road, all that kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah, NASA has better calculators than me, so I just must have done it wrong.
Oh, those brain surgeons. I mean, rocket scientists, those guys. So Meme is in the chat, but he's not in the voice chat. And hi, Becky, by the way.
So this
Hey
is cool with
guys.
these new different rooms. Like if we're making up new rooms, can we get a mud flood room?
It's like afternoon in Australia. I see. I have my London clock and my Brisbane, Australia clock, so that I can keep track of what time it is for my friends across the area of the plane that we live on.
Yeah, it's
You better,
afternoon here now.
Cool. Is it
you better
1:45 or
hurry.
are you in a different time zone?
I'm in the daylight savings time zone, so it's 2:45 for me. But yeah, 1:45 is the actual time.
Cool. Gotcha.
You better
Interesting.
hurry with the mud flood room because we're about to all get swished away.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up my live stream on this thought. And I live in a state that has a lot of mystery around it. Iowa in North America, Iowa, and the state capital is one of 10 with a gold dome and the only state capital with 5 domes. It's got 4 copper domes and 1 golden dome. That's not really important. A lot of people have speculated that that when it was built from 1871 to 1886, so it took 15 years to build the state capitol. It's massive. It's overwhelmingly grand and beautiful, and it looks insane. It really does. However, I bought a resource that basically, I mean, it could be fake, but based on the pictures that I saw, the historical pictures of the building, the footing being dug, and the mid-construction pictures, I think that there's just a lot of details that are either being ignored or overlooked in regards to the whole mud flood speculations. That's where I stand. I I always could be wrong, but I'm not sold out on the concept of the mud flood thing.
I'm
Well,
only sold out on the main mud flood, the real flood.
Well, yeah, the flood, but I'm referring to this like people have been on the planet for billions and billions of years, and we're
Nah,
just in the 19 trillionth iteration of mankind. This some people take the mud flood thing to like super extremes, and they think that there's been millions of prior cultures and times, and it's all been destroyed over and over. I mean, you may as well be talking about multiverse and all kinds of other crazy stuff. But well,
well,
that's
I think
my
that, yeah,
perspective
that's
on it. But
well. I mean, here's the problem: is that yeah, obviously, controlled opposition can get a hold of it and spin it in their favorable direction. But the point being is that the people with a bunch of horses didn't build your state capital. They didn't. I mean, come on, like
yeah, 15 years and actual hundreds, not well, maybe not hundreds, but definitely tens of thousands of people. I think that the population of the area by 1886 was over 100,000 people, which is really hard to imagine.
yeah, that's what they say. Can you validate that? No.
No, but
I mean, the same as the problem with the Mormons, right? They went
yeah,
up
yeah,
there
yeah.
to
I
Salt Lake
looked into
City and
that too.
started that, and
Yeah.
it's like there's no effing way, dude. There's just
In a lot of ways,
like, come on.
in a lot of ways, but it started with a small group of people. But then when you look into the population of when those building alleged, I get it, the alleged population of when those buildings were built, you're talking about again 80,000 people, 120,000 people, 160. Like if you look at the population of when those buildings were built, it starts to look less mysterious. Is the population number fake to make it look less mysterious? Maybe. But if there
Well,
is
yeah,
truth in the
that exactly.
population, then it does start to look a little less suspicious. That's all.
Which is why I love the Mormons, because there weren't 100,000 of them.
When
Right?
those
There only
buildings
were
were built,
allegedly
though,
less than a couple hundred.
when
Well,
those
that's my
buildings were
point.
built,
But well, yeah, but apparently they were the ones that was the first buildings they started on. Like, I mean, for God, right? That's the whole point of them moving out there. But the whole point, the real point of it is that they're lying about history. I mean, it didn't go down the way they say it did, and
well,
that's part of the problem.
that
And that we
that
don't know
definitely
because
remains regarding Tartaria, because that's unquestionably been removed and scrubbed in one way or another
100%,
without
100%.
question. So there's definitely a lot of mystery around that. I don't get all of that. It's funny
Well,
that
but
Mr. Little Alex claims to be a direct descendant. He says that his grandfather is Tartarian, which I just think I mean, it could be true, but I just think
yeah,
it's really funny.
at this point in our awakening, right? How can you discount anything at this point?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Before we still don't even know what's going on. If they're lying about all these other things, but they're definitely telling the truth about the Mormons, I'm sure they are. Right, I'm sure that Iowa is a very important thing that they really needed to. It's a flyover state for 90% of the people. They couldn't even put Iowa on a map, right? So
Yeah.
there's on top of, so the point is that they're lying. They're not making, they're
There's
you know
definitely a
what,
mystery.
history, right?
There's
So
definitely a
there's
mystery.
definitely going on. So yeah, that's the problem, is that, like, if we're trying to get into this, we have to start from scratch, and
Yeah.
so that includes everything. It's like, we have to clear the table, and we flip the table. What is the table? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna hop out of the Discord. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I hope you guys are able to continue the fun. And I'll be around. I'll see you guys later.
See you, mate.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, um, that was a good conversation, guys. Um, that went pretty well. I went better than I worried about. Put it that way. Um, so I've got some people there that I've known for a little while. I've been in this Discord since October, so some of those people I've known since then. And yeah, anyway, thank you guys for continuing to hang out. That was fun. We talked about all sorts of things tonight. Um, it really went all over the place, and it tends to do that when you got a group of people. As believable as the dome on the U.S. Capitol during the middle of the Civil War, 20 miles from the front lines. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating topic. I've got some resources I want to live stream on. I'll address it soon. I bought their little book for $6. It was cheap enough that I was like, I'll just buy that. It's fine. So I'll address that, the Iowa Capitol stuff, and we'll look at their pictures and check it out.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I don't drink some gravy soon, I'm probably not going to make it.
Very good gravy. Oh man, I missed it. Those messages go by way too fast. I can adjust those settings though. But I saw you said something about very good gravy, so you're very welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for the diamonds. Thank you for the. Oh, there it is. It's in the thing here. I see it. Now I gotta get. God bless. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. You should know that by now. And if you don't, you better start. Um, yeah, that's that. Go read your Bible if you're still not sleepy. Do it. Do it.